5 tips to increase your design prowess as an architect. Okay, so I'm currently a graduate architect, so I've gone through the School of Architecture, at least on the BSc level, and I have some substantial experience with designing buildings and even practice and both school and practical projects. Okay, so one issue I had is up until my final year, I think, I couldn't design a building like that I'm satisfied with. Of course, some people may view those designs I made as, okay, they're okay with this, is good, but I always used to have one issue or that also with the design, and that is because I like the capability of designing properly. I didn't understand some certain tips that I know now, so I want to share those tips with you in case of people that are facing a similar issue. Maybe they have not been immersed in design so well that they don't know how to go about their design very well. So I'm going to give you some tips that will make things much easier for you compared to before, and it will remove a lot of struggling you have been facing. So this is important for both people that want to learn architectural design and mostly architectural students, because I think they encounter this a lot, even from what I used to see in school that time. The kind of designs I see, I actually feel that people should know some of these tips. All right, so before we move any further, I would like you to subscribe to our channel for more content like this. It helps you and it helps us, because we deliver content. When you watch it, you improve on yourself and you improve on your architectural prowess and learn new things. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to get notified once we release new videos, because it will help you to get notified once videos like this are out. So without any further ado, we're going to jump right into the main content of this video. So tip number 1, take your time to understand the design requirements. By design requirements, it means your design brief. Once you get a design brief, you should take your time. It's your responsibility to look at that brief, study it well, and understand what they are asking from you in this design. For instance, if they ask for a factory, you could take it and look at the factory. Then you could now start making some design considerations or trying to focus on the aspect you want to focus on in this design. Overall, in design, you should focus on every aspect, but there are some aspects peculiar to some kind of brief that you should pay more attention to when handling a brief. Going back to my factory example, if they give you a factory now, you should look at some important things in a factory, like circulation, temperature, that is ventilation, how to control the temperature and heat from these machines, how to control circulation, zoning, how to zone the private and public zones and the industrial zone. On the contrary, now if you have something like maybe a cultural center, now your focus will not be mainly, it's not as if you will not focus on, you will not attain circulation in that cultural center, but your focus will not be more on the aesthetics, the cultural depiction of that place. So each kind of design brief has its own peculiarity and has things you are supposed to pay more attention to. So your own job is to go and make some little research and look at the aspects you should try and focus on, so that design will be able to work. So tip number 2 is design from macro to micro. Okay, so this is simply saying design from conceptual to detailed, because a lot of times the mistake I used to make that time was I will carry a design and I start drafting some floor plans. I'm start making some sketches, some detailed sketches, drawing the doors of the toilet, which I'm not supposed to do at that base stage, because what will happen is after I do all those scribbling and drafting, anything the thing gives birth to is going to be my facade. And there's one kind of thing that it gives to your psychology. Like if you start drafting a plan and making it so sketchy to detail, once you have achieved that plan and you manage to achieve a functional floor plan, it will be difficult for you to let go of that functional thing you have achieved. So it will kind of be psychologically restraining you to that design idea, which is kind of limiting. So it's always good. Even you can see prominent architects like Bijak Angels promoting this kind of value, that you should always design from concept. You should always bring out your concept. For instance, you have a design now. If you start bringing out some design options, making some models, maybe if you know how to use Revit, you use some extrusions and just make some masses of, okay, I want this thing to look like this, I want this thing to look like that. So you now start trying design ideas. So once you now start from that macro stage when it's still conceptual and you have something like a relative idea, you now try experimenting, going a bit more detailed into it and just seeing, okay, let's say you have a duplex design. You form a massing now, or you mass maybe a rectangle. You now say, okay, let me maybe break down. Let me just use this drafting lines, for example. You just have a duplex now. You now say, okay, let me start breaking this down. Now you've used your rectangle concept. You now start breaking it down like this and just having an idea of how would this space come out. So you now see that you now have some grid. You now say, okay, this space will be this space will be that, this space will be that. And once the thing is relatively working and the thing from those more detailed experimentation, you can now go further and detail those things and see how it comes out. and never be afraid to go back and change an idea, because architecture is all about dynamism, playing, going back and forth, going and seeing the best options you can use to solve a problem in a particular project. Okay, tip number 3 is sketch a lot and don't be afraid to discard or try out other ideas. Like this, what I was saying at the end of the other tip I mentioned. Try and sketch a lot. Try and express your ideas vaguely first before detailing it, because what expressing your idea vaguely does is that it will give you freedom to jump from options to options and try out things and see, okay, if I try out this option, will it work? Okay, this rectangular shape didn't work, let me try out this longer shape, let me try out putting a cut here, let me try out using U shape. So once you try this out like this, it's now going to give you options on how you can solve your design problem and maybe achieve other things. So it will not restrain you to a box and say that, okay, now I've finished my floor plan and it's functional, I cannot change it. There was one time like this, I could remember I was talking with one of my colleagues when he asked me to like check out his floor plan and see how it goes. So there was one thing he told me that I could remember was funny. He said, this my design is a perfect system that cannot be altered. I was not like in my mind that, oh, okay, they'll still change this thing. No? So it's always important that once you have had that ideology, now you see that once you have designed a plan, it will be kind of restraining you, that you will not want to let go of that idea, which is normal, of course. But if you are using this sketching a lot and using draft models or sketching or illustrative models to do your thing, it's going to help reduce the psychological impact of you not wanting to let go of that idea. Point 4, look at case studies. Looking at case studies doesn't mean you're a copycat. See, there's one thing I used to say, there is no design that anybody has done that is from himself, because everything we know or everything we can express as a human being, we have actually seen it in something or is inspired from something. We don't need to be inspired from direct buildings all the time. We can be even inspired from nature and bring out a design based on that inspiration. So anybody that is saying that you looking at some case studies of some great things is a copycat, that person doesn't know what he or she is saying. So looking at case studies is important because it will help you see that, okay, your mind is not a library. At least, especially now we are young, or for younger people, your mind is not a library. Even if your mind is a library, there's no complete library. So why is stopping you from going online? You have a project, going clicking on your browser and just typing, okay, I'm having this kind of project, and you just type the name of the project and see what others have done. See the ideas or the ways they used to solve this problem. Even in architecture schools, they tell you to do case studies. It's just among students and among some people, they will be like, you're being a copycat. So if anybody is telling you that kind of thing, that you're a copycat, please don't listen to that. Use case studies. I'm not saying you should copy other people's design, but case studies are important. Looking at what people, even in visualization, if you want to visualize now and you want to get a very good 3D render, you go and look for a very good 3D render that you feel is very nice, and you now say, okay, I'm looking at this 3D render, I'm going to try and adopt what they did in this 3D. So it's just part of learning. You look at someone that is better than you and learn from it. So it's not a copycat thing. Anybody that is calling you a copycat shouldn't even be in school, because literally from their own words, they are being copycats because someone is telling them what they know. Okay, tip number 5 and the final tip is be patient and diligent. By patience, sometimes we usually go ahead of ourselves, in the sense that when someone has a design, sometimes you see that maybe you have designed a project before and you're currently designing one. So you're not being like, this project that I'm designing and it's taking too much time. The last project I did, it took so time. It's like, it was much smaller, which is fine and good. Of course, you need to put in some work and all, but sometimes some designs have their own peculiarity. Some designs take time. Give it time. Always go and go back, and you don't need to rush everything at once. Sometimes you even need to rest and leave it at where it is. And go and rest, clear your mind, maybe go and do another thing. Maybe when you're doing the other thing, an idea might come up to find out, okay, I've gotten an idea now and I can solve this kind of thing. So always be patient sometimes. Don't rush things. Try and understand that it's not every time that your brain will be hitting solutions design-wise every time like as usual. So it's always good to keep it in mind, and I think by being patient, you'll be able to disperse much more better designs in your future project. Alright, so these are 5 tips I feel can help you increase your prowess, your design prowess as an architect. So feel free to drop comments on what you think about these tips, whether they are helpful or you even think they will not be helpful or they are not necessary. Okay, if you have made it to the end of this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to get notified once we release new videos. Like this video, is very important. It helps us really well and it helped YouTube recommend more people to this video. Okay, we are going to see in the next video. Thank you very much and have a nice day.